Alright guys, welcome back. I had a request for a video on setting up dual engine, dual turbine telemetry on a Futaba radio. So for Zycoy motors, this is the Zycoy, and it works the same way with pretty much any other motor, but speaking for Zycoy, or if you're in Spain or Europe, Chicoy. But the Zycoy, I have two X132s in this model. Both are plugged up with the, since I'm using Futaba, it's the Zycoy Telemetry X module. That's the latest version. If you do Spectrum, Spectrum is different than this one. It's designed just for Spectrum. So if you have a Futaba, Jetty, Powerbox, Multiplex, or FrySky, you use this one. And if you're Spectrum, you get the other one. So for this one, you have two of these modules, telemetry adapters, and the setup on this is a two-part. So you set up the telemetry adapter itself for these, and then you set up the radio. So to do the telemetry adapter, you need a Y harness and a battery, and this is the handheld programmer that you see a lot with a lot of turbines. This is the Zycoy Smart Data Terminal. So you plug that into this one, hook a battery up to it, and this is what comes up. It's hard to read. Let's see if I can get it to manually focus here. There we go. So it initially defaults to Jetty. So let me get my little pointer here. So you want to, if it was Jetty here, you would just select the X to cycle through. So let me swap hands here. And I'm going to do this just to show you. So there's Futaba, Hot, JR, Powerbox, FrySky, Jetty, and then Multiplex, and then Futaba. So I'm going to leave it in Futaba because I'm a Futaba radio. So next thing you do is your tank capacity, milliliters, pump factor, fuel pump factor. This is what you will tweak if you land and it said you had 50%, you land and you only have 40%. You tweak this number to calibrate that actual usage. Next thing you do, page over. This JB10, because it uses the JetCat version 10 protocol, I guess is how to look at it. So this is for number 2 engine, because there's 14 different data points you get for one telemetry adapter. It'll give you 14 different types of data: RPM, temperature, pump factors, pump voltages, things like that. So when you select a slot in the radio, it's going to basically block out 14 slots. So if you, like in my radio, I'll show you, I selected slot 1 for turbine 1 and slot 15 for turbine 2. So, and this is what the telemetry adapter, you're basically just linking the telemetry adapter to, you got to tell, like an S-bus servo, you have to tell it what channel. Well, this one is the same thing. You got to tell it what slot that you're going to be using in your radio. So this one you see says 15, and I'll show you that. And then it'll ask you if you want to save. Always click yes. And you can always power it up if you want to verify it again. You got to power it down, power it up. But I'm just going to power it down. So now our telemetry adapter is set up. So we're going to jump to the radio. So on the radio here, it's pretty simple. As long as you make sure when you link your receiver, like if I actually have 2 now, and I got to link the second one. But I link the first one, and then you make sure your telemetry is on. Okay, that's all you really got to do there. Then you go to linkage, and you page over. This is a 32MZ. It's different with every radio, and the 18 is even different. But you page over, and you got sensors. Go to sensor. Now here are the slots that you can select. See, I've got like, and I'm gonna let's do this. Let's get rid of this just to kind of inhibit. Yes. So this is what it looks like initially. Inhibit. You got all these slots here, so you can go to slot 1, you can make that a temperature. Slot 2, you can make that altitude, and bam. So, and then when you have something that has multiple data fields for one sensor, it uses slots for each data field. So the altitude sensor uses 3 slots for different things. But let's go back out and make these inhibited, So engine 1, I said, is on slot 1. The telemetry adapter is set up to slot 1 for engine 1. So come over here, there it is, the V10, JetCat V10, select that, yes. Now see how it generated all these, took up all these slots? 14 slots for that one telemetry adapter, and those, each slot will be like RPM, TGT, pump PW, fuel used, this, whatever, you know, voltages. So those are the 14 different data pieces you can get. And then, so the next one I had was 15, which would have been the first available. So see, all the first 14. So now, all right, I need to add the second telemetry adapter, which is motor 2, which I said was on slot 15. Select it, yes. Now 15 through 28 are all data points for the second telemetry adapter. Not using 29, not using 30. 31 I'm using for my pressure on my telemetry, for my air pressure with the Zycoy gear door sequencer / failsafe. You can use the temperature, because Futaba doesn't have a temperature setting or a pressure, you have to use temperature. So if it's 30 C, it's 30 PSI or whatever that equates to. You gotta do the conversion for Fahrenheit. So I know 105 degrees Fahrenheit is, you know, whatever PSI. So that's all you have to do. So now you have the slots selected in the radio to match the telemetry adapters. So then when you go to your telemetry page, it shows ones for all these different data things, and that is slot 1. You've got voltage, RPM, temperature, pump, set RPMs, thrust, all these different things. There's 14 of them, are all the different data points you can get in your radio that ECU from that motor is going to spit out to the telemetry adapter. Then it starts on your 15. There's 15, and all 14 data points are all there, same as the first telemetry adapter. And then page over, the last one is that slot 31, which is, so I've got 32 PSI in there. So that's all there is. So now your radio should be linked, and if you power up the motors and you get like telemetry, you go to your home screen, and you'll see this guy. This is like, okay, so I don't have it powered up, so it's not reading. Once it starts receiving telemetry data, you'll get like the bars like on a cell phone. So this is my home screen. I have 2 timers set up typically, and then you can get 3 different data things on your page. To change these, you're just going to go, you select it, and then here's the alarms that you can set up for that particular thing. So I'm going to go select, and see how it says receiver there? So I'm going to go hit this. We're going to go to slot 1 because that's our first telemetry adapter. See, it jumped to V10, and then now you have this box over here to select all those different 14 different data points. And you can, whichever one you want to use, you can set an alarm based on whatever you want. So I'll usually do, I'm probably going to do pump voltage, because RPM and temperature, you know, the motor's going to remain hot for a few seconds. The RPMs are going to remain up there for a few seconds until it spools down to where it would indicate a flame out. The easiest way, in my opinion, is to set a pump voltage. So when that motor flames out, that pump is going to have 0 voltage, because the ECU is like, well, I'm not going to keep sending fuel to it. So that will be the easiest way to get an alarm indicating you have a flame out. So there is the JetCat 1, slot 1, that's your engine 1. So if you close this and go back to your home screen, see, now you have that pump voltage. So I want to get my engine 2 on here, so same thing, go select. Now you got to go, it's going to jump to 15 because that's the next actual telemetry adapter. So there's 1, there's 15. So now you can change. There's your fuel flow, fuel quantity, and all that stuff if you want to know how much you got left. You know, and I'm just really wanting telemetry on to know if I flamed out. I use time for fuel. But now you close that, back out. There's where you want to set your thresholds for any kind of alarms. And then now this is active. So when you turn your radio, you get ready to go fly, you just hit home screen. There's your timers. I still got to set them up, but that is telemetry in Futaba. And I know that's kind of quick, down and dirty, but that's it. Like if you get like a GPS sensor or any one of the Futaba sensors, you don't typically have to go into that sensor that I'm aware of and tell it a slot that you want, and I think you can register it and it reads its unique ID like a servo. So it'll read it, it'll generate that ID, so it knows that servo ID is whatever. So I think that's how the actual telemetry adapters that Futaba makes work. Like their GPS sensor has a register number in it. So when you add that slot, you have to do. Let's just go over here. So linkage sensor. So I'm going to go to this. So go to 29, and say you wanted to add a voltage. Bam. Now it's voltage. See how it has 0 ID there? That's where you're going to type in. If you look on the actual adapter, and there's like a decal. Let me find a well, the actual voltage should have a unique ID, and that's what you do. Is you can either type it in, or you can power it up and hit registered, and it will auto detect, and that's when you see it generate the number, and that's how it assigns that voltage to something based off the unique ID in the actual GPS sensor, versus you having to tell it like you do on the Zycoy telemetry adapters. Because I told it slot 15. If it's not like that, or if it's just a standalone, doesn't have any functional or programming capability sensor, then you have to register it, and it loads the unique ID in the actual GPS sensor, so the radio knows, okay, that GPS is linked based off of that ID. It's like an IP address, I guess you could say. So inhibit this. All right. So I hope that helps somebody. Let me know. I'm not know-it-all. I've been in Futaba for 30 years, and even their telemetry stuff is kind of the weakest part of the radio. Really, the only downside to Futaba is their capabilities with telemetry, and it's not that they don't have the stuff. It's just they don't have a lot of the complete functional being able to change that temperature to a PSI and things like that. Just little things, but anyways, hope that helps. Let me know what you think in the comment sections. Like and subscribe. Tell your friends. You guys have a good night.